From Bromance to Lovers, Part 2. It had been several months since I saw him. The wounds feel as fresh as if my heart was ripped out just yesterday. I could not see beyond the misery that I was in. I needed him. He was the one who made me happy. But I could not go back. I was on probation with my parents. I couldn't risk seeing him. I had been staying at their house for a while now. I had tried my hardest to convince them that I'm not gay. They were coming around, but I could not help but feel as if I was doing the wrong thing. Why did I have to hide who I loved? Does it hurt them that I am in love with a man? I could not fathom why they were so homophobic. Every day was a battle. I woke up every morning expecting to be back in my room. Instead, I was with the gray walls of my room. I woke up and went to take a bath. Then I went to work. Luckily for me, my parents hired me in their company. I thought that it was so that they could keep their eyes on me. One day, I'm doing the books when there is a knock on my office. I looked up, and for the first time in forever, my heart was filled with joy. Standing in front of me is my sister Jennifer. I jumped up and rushed to give her a hug. She squealed as she hugged me tightly. I had not seen her in over a year. She and I are very close. I was so glad to see her. "Oh my, what are you doing in this part of the world?" I asked her once she had taken a seat. "Just visiting. I heard that you were back home, so I thought to come and see you. I do get tired of traveling sometimes. It is nearly Christmas, so I came back to spend some time with my family. And you? What has been going on with your life?" she asked me. "Moved out, stayed in the city for a while, and came back. There is not much of a story," I said. "Oh, and how are you managing a long-distance relationship?" she asked. "What are you talking about?" I said. "I saw the photo you were tagged in on Facebook," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Oh no, that was just a prank," I said, looking down. "I know when you were lying." She arched her eyebrow. Damn, she was right. She knew me more than anyone in the world. She could tell me when I was unhappy, even if I was smiling. That was the amazing thing about her. Right now, this was bad for me. So then I told her everything, without leaving out anything. She kept a cool and calm face throughout the whole conversation, as I told her how I had to leave the man I loved because of her parents. Oh my, I was wondering how mom and dad react to the whole thing. They are a bit old-fashioned, but I hate seeing you like this. It doesn't matter to me who you love. I just want you to be happy," she said, holding my hand. "Thank you. You're so kind. I wish that our parents shared the same view as you, but alas, they do not accept me for who I am. I'm lucky they didn't send me to a reform institution. Right now, I'm just keeping my head down." I shrugged. "For how long? Until they force you into an arranged marriage?" she asked. "They will cut me off if I dare to defy them," I said. "So you're willing to let go of a person you love because of two people who are not happy about who you love? I just feel like you have made a big mistake," she said. I thought about what she had said for a moment. She was certainly not wrong there. I had been apart from someone I loved because of my parents. If they loved me so much, then why did they treat me as if I was their puppet? I loved them, but this was enough. If I did not break away now, then I was going to spend the rest of my life miserable. This was going to drive me to an early grave. I could not let them do that. "You're right. Chase has made me feel like I have never felt before. He has been kind to me. He has been patient. He made a mistake when he posted that picture, but who can blame him? We should be allowed to date in peace," I said to her. I got out my phone and started searching for the earliest flights out of my town. I saw that there were none today. The earliest one was tomorrow. I quickly booked it. Tonight, I would say my goodbyes to my parents and tell them how I felt about Chase. How they took it was not my problem. Jessica told me that she had to go and meet her friends for some shopping. I finished up the work that I was doing and made my way home. When I got there, I went to my room and freshened up. I then started packing all of my clothes. I did not think that I was going to come back to this place again. I had a feeling that my parents were not going to take kindly to the news that I was about to tell them. After that, I texted them to ask if they were home. This house was huge. It was impossible to find anything or anyone here. They texted me back to let me know that they were home. I told them that I needed to talk to them about something. We agreed to meet in my father's study. I found them sitting there, discussing the latest markets. They were all about business. I walked in and took a seat beside my mother. "Hello, son. You said you wanted to talk to us about something," my dad said. "Yes, Dad. I wanted to talk to you about something important. I am leaving for the city," I said. His eyebrows went up. I was afraid that they would fly through the roof. My mother gasped and looked at me in disbelief. I knew that they were going to be shocked. "But we decided that you're not going back there. You were nearly corrupted by that gay," she started. I did not let her finish the sentence. "You decided. You chose for me. You did not care how I felt about the whole thing. So do not pretend as if you care all of a sudden. I was not corrupted. I fell in love," I said. "You will not speak to your mother like that, Simon. No son of mine will be in a relationship with a man. Is that clear?" my dad said, pounding his fist on the table. I knew that he was going to be like this, but it did not feel great to hear him say such hurtful words. "It does not matter what you think. I love Chase. If you consider me to be your son, then you will accept that. I have nothing more to say," I said. "Get out of my house," my dad roared. "Dad, please stop," a voice suddenly said. We turned around to look at the door. Jessica was standing there. "You did not hear what he was saying. Stop defending your brother. I want him out," my dad said harshly. "Dear, are you not being too drastic? I am sure we can talk this through, and soon he will see my reason," my mother pleaded with him. "Do not waste your breath, mother. I have no choice but to leave," I said, getting up. "At least let him stay until tomorrow morning," Jess begged. "Fine, but I do not want to see his face tomorrow. You will leave this house early in the morning." He turned to look at me. I nodded, then left the room. It was late and I was tired. I asked one of our maids to bring the food to me. I was not up for an awkward family dinner. The next morning, I was out of the house before my parents were up. The only person I said goodbye to was Jessica. She drove me to the airport and waited for me to board the flight. I did not deserve her kindness, to be honest. She was too kind for her own good. The flight felt like the longest 6 hours of my life. I felt as if I would never get there. I was so nervous about what would happen when I finally saw him. I really hoped that he would be able to forgive me. If he was unable to, I would be shattered. I finally landed a few hours later. I called an Uber to drive me to our apartment. According to James, whom I had spoken to yesterday, he was still staying there. He had not rented out my room despite the many offers. That made me think that there was hope for us yet. I went up the stairs and knocked at the door. I really hoped that he was home. Otherwise, I was going to have to find somewhere else to go while I waited for him. I didn't know how he was going to react seeing me there. I was certain that he was going to be very upset with me. He had every right to be. I had left him. The door opened to reveal him. The first thing I noticed about him was that his hair was now blonde. It looked good on him. In fact, he looked even more gorgeous than I remembered. He looked at me in shock. Then I watched as his eyes hardened and he slammed the door in my face. Yep, I deserved that. I knocked again. To my surprise, he opened the door. "Come in," he said. His voice. I had missed his voice. My body reacted to hearing his voice. I felt as if I had been electrocuted. Why did he have to make me feel this way? I followed him to the living room. Everything was just as I remembered. I felt as if I had never left. But yeah, I had left him. Would he ever forgive me? I sat down on the couch and he sat beside me. "First of all, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything that I put you through. I was under so much pressure from my parents. I did not want them to disown me," I started. "So you decided to stomp on my heart instead?" he asked. You did not deserve that. I realized that I was wrong, I said. You left me with a hole in my heart. I did not expect you, of all people, to make me feel like I did, he said. I know, it was messed up. I'm so sorry, I said. It's okay. I forgive you. I can never stay mad at you. What about your parents? Do they know that you're here? He asked. No, actually, the whole thing is complicated. I'm feeling so many conflicting feelings at the moment. My whole life, I believed that I knew who I was, but now I do not, I said. I get it. I experienced that when it came out. But for you, it is probably worse because you do not have your parents' support. I promise that I will do anything I can to help you. We can take this as slow as you would like. We will work through this together. Yes, together, I said. So we did that. He helped me by booking therapy sessions with me and spending time with me. Eventually, I saw that the therapy sessions were helping. I found myself feeling more comfortable with each session that I attended. I became more comfortable with my sexuality as well. Things with him were going well. I felt as if I was on cloud nine. He was the sweetest person that I had ever met. When I was with him, I could be anyone that I wanted to be. We would go on cute dates all the time. We always made sure to go out every Friday night and on our off days. We had conversations about everything, from our upbringings to pop culture. We never ran out of stuff to talk about. I fell more and more in love with him every day, but there was something strange about the whole relationship. We loved being affectionate with each other, but we had never kissed. I figured that he was being patient with me. One day, we were baking cupcakes for his little sister's bake sale at school. His mom was working a night shift, so she could not do it. Layla was in Chase's room playing games on his computer. Pass me the sprinkles, please, I asked him. When it came to baking, I was pretty good at it. He looked at me, then giggled. I frowned. I wondered if everything was all right. And then, I asked him. He leaned into me. I figured that the moment had come, he was finally going to kiss me. Imagine how disappointed I felt when he wiped my nose. He showed me his hands and I saw that it had some flour. I blushed from embarrassment. There I went, making assumptions again. I'm not done yet, he said. I turned my head and his soft lips locked with mine. My body tingled as he kissed me for the first time. It felt so good, as if I was drinking water for the first time in a long time. He caressed my hair as he kissed me. I pushed him towards the counter and deepened our kiss. We kissed without coming up for air. We finally broke apart after a while. I have been wanting you to do that for a long time, I said. A year later, it was Valentine's Day and I was feeling very happy. I had just had the perfect day with my bae. We went to our restaurant and had some sushi. I could not take my eyes off him for the whole meal. He looked so darn appetizing. I could see it in his eyes that he desired me too. The sexual tension between us had been heating up lately. I figured that it was because it was the month of love. I felt as if I was ready to take the next step with him. From the signals that he had been giving me, it was clear that he was ready too. After dinner, we went back to our place. It was a bit hot, so I took off my shirt and walked around without it in the house. He was working in the living room while I had some ice cream. He kept on looking up and gazing at me. I could see that he desired me. I licked the ice cream while giving him a sultry look. I could see his eyes darkened as he stripped me with his eyes. I wonder who was going to break first between me and him. I was patient. Are you okay, babe? I asked in a sexy voice. Yes, why don't you come here and sit by me? He said. Gotcha. I smirked and came to sit by him. He did not look at me again though. I pouted as I wondered why he had called me there in the first place. He was such a tease. He knew that I was getting hot and bothered in his presence. Well, two can play at that game. I was going to show him. I rested my hand on his knee, and I could have sworn that I heard him gasp. My hands traveled further up his leg, and his breath shortened. Enough, he growled, placing his laptop on the table and carrying me in his arms. I smirked as we entered his room. I felt so hungry for him. I needed him. He threw me on the bed and began removing his clothes. I swallowed as I saw how hard he was. I was excited, yet nervous. What was he going to do to me tonight? I could not wait to find out. He started kissing me as his hands touched me all over. I moaned as I became more aroused. He bit my lower lip and I gasped. I pulled at his hair as he kissed me more passionately. He began unbuckling my pants as I kissed him on his neck. I needed every part of him within me at that moment. He looked at me with lust-filled eyes and said to me, "Are you ready?" he asked. His eyes were suddenly filled with concern. I frantically nodded. I could barely speak. The lust was rolling through me in strong waves. "Good. Tonight, you will be mine," he said. So then, I was his. I have never had so much pleasure while being intimate with someone. He made me feel things I had never thought of before. He wielded my body like a sword. When we finally reached the climax together, it was electric. My whole body felt like it was on fire as we rode it out together. We collapsed next to each other due to tiredness. I laid my head on his shoulder and took a moment to breathe. That had been so amazing. I could barely move. "I love you," I said. "I love you too," he said, kissing my hair. So then, we made love again and again. We could barely get enough of each other. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our rainbow force. Stay wholesome.